Welcome back. In this summer series, we are painting and talking about beautiful summer things that stay the same. There's so much change that is going on in the world, but I wanted to look back and appreciate and celebrate the beautiful things that stay the same, just like the sunflowers. I paint these flowers every year, and I hope you love them as much as I do. We're going to paint this one a little bit differently this summer, and I'm going to link to some of the other ones I've painted too, in case you want to be like me and go on a plethora of painting sunflowers. They are so much fun, and the colors just sing together. So grab your paints and tape your paper down, and let's paint together and talk about the beauty of the sunflowers and the special characteristics and attitudes that they resemble that stay in season no matter what is happening in life. All right, I'm going to see you in just a few minutes, and we will paint this gorgeous flower together. Hi everyone, well, we're back for a summer series for the creative season. Whatever season you are in watching this, I hope you're doing well. This season of this creative season YouTube channel, we are going to be going through a summer inspiration series, and I'm calling it Things That Don't Change. So being inspired by things that stay the same. And so this week we are painting sunflowers. I feel like I come back to sunflowers every year, and for good reason. They are some of the most beautiful and prolific summer and fall flowers. So these are a couple of paintings I've been painting. This was a painting where I painted first and then sketched over with the pen. And in this painting, I had sketched with pen first, my outline, and then painted it in. We're going to do we're going to sketch first, but we're not going to be too detailed, and we are going to add some splattering. But I have been doing a lot of, those are just a couple of the sunflowers that I've been painting, and they are such a joyful flower in so many ways, and I love the lessons that they have to teach us. So let's go ahead now, and we are going to look at our sunflower. This one, you can see it's been with me for maybe longer than a week. It's gorgeous, isn't it? But it is fading, but you can see in the circle right here, we need to make that circle nice and big, that face. We're gonna have a leaf sticking out over to the side. Over on this sunflower, you can see it's really beautiful too. The leaf is coming up this way. And so that way we're gonna add in a couple of different leaves to our beautiful sunflowers. I'm gonna sketch with micron pen. Feel free to sketch with a pencil. And we're actually not gonna be doing too much sketching because really we want to get right to the painting. We can spend a lot more time painting. So just to make sure too that if you might have your paper taped down, I'm going to get a paper towel because I dripped some water, and I'm going to need a paper towel anyways because water tends to merge. So I'm going to pick that water up right there. Okay, and again, what I have here too is I've got my yellows just to show you what we're using. I have this yellow as well, and you can see with the sunflower, we're not using too many colors here. We've got the dark brown, I've got a couple of yellows. Use the yellows that you have, and I'll show you how to deepen them up. And we have green, and I'm using a sap green for my leaves for the sunflowers. So, and yes, my palette broke like a year ago. I just need to get a new one. But I love this particular palette so much, and I haven't found like a long rectangle one. I should probably go on Amazon. I've just been peeking at like the craft stores when I go in there. Okay, now if you want to, for the circle of your sunflower, you could always use your masking tape. I'm not going to make it quite that big. That would be a little bit too big, but I can just even use that as a guide. And I'm actually going to go a little bit off to the side, just a tad bit. And I'm going to use this to just kind of give me a guide for my face. I'm going to come back up now, and I'm going to go ahead now too, and I am going to remember that our sunflower, this guy's a little bit better. Our sunflower petals are about half the size, maybe a little bit more, of the perimeter of the sunflower face if I spread them out like this. So I want to make sure that when I draw and sketch my petals, that they are at least half up here, at least. And you can see too the edges of the sunflowers, and I'll come in a little bit closer so you can see this better, are nice, and they've got just a little bit of a point. But notice too, and I should just pull this guy out so you can kind of see him on the side here. I know you can't see him very well, but the sunflowers are a little bit larger at the base, and they come out teeny tiny points at the end. So whenever I'm sketching, and I don't need to sketch all of the petals, but I want to get at least enough of them down to give me idea of how many and the direction. And so I'm not trying to, this is not a portrait of a sunflower. I do have a portrait of a sunflower coming out where we take our time and really go into depth into drawing the details and really letting the colors soak and dance together. But this time through, as you know with the YouTube channel, this is for getting that practice of painting in every week, where we're just making sure that we continue to paint, we continue to work at our creativity in the margins of life, and knowing too that even as we just have 15 or 20 minutes to work on our hobby each week, it does add up. It adds up quite a bit. And it's so relaxing. It's so much fun to know, you know what, there's so many things I don't have control over, but I can find 20 minutes in the week to set aside for some painting, for some creativity, for some quiet, right? We can do that no matter how crazy our lives are. Okay, so I've got all my leaves out here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add in my stem, which is nice and thick. That stem right there. And I am gonna go ahead and with my leaf, I had a leaf coming out right over here. So I'm just gonna curl out that leaf, and my petals are big on this one, and that's fine because it's a sunflower and it's gorgeous. I'm gonna add another leaf, the other leaf right over here, and curl it at the end. And I had a couple of the green tendrils sticking out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just have those stick out in a couple places around my sunflower. And what I'm talking about with the tendrils are these guys right over here. You can see them a little bit better on this side than the other. Okay, and that's all the sketching I'm gonna do, so not too much at all. Now that we have got that down, let's go ahead and pick up some brown. I'm gonna go ahead here. I have a burnt umber, a really dark brown. I'm sorry, this is the raw umber. You can see how dark that is right here. I'm gonna back off just a little bit so you can see that a bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm not gonna just paint it in all dark. I am going to start dabbing all the way around. When you look at the sunflower, you can see too, it's not a perfect circle. The seeds of the sunflower face actually go in and out a little bit where the flowers or the petals have been blossoming. And so just know it's not a perfect ring. It's an uneven ring all the way around. And so I can reflect that with my paint. Now I'm going to go a little bit thicker. I'm going to just move around here at one edge. My goal is to paint for about 20 minutes and that we've really almost completed the painting. And so we can do that, and actually 20 minutes is a really good amount of time to get a good watercolor sketch completed. Okay, so I'm just again moving around, moving on the edges. Now I am going to pick up some yellow. You can use the same brush. I'm going to just grab another brush that's a little bit smaller, and I just don't want to get any brown in my yellow quite yet. It's not the end of the world if you do. I'm actually going to just dab a little bit of yellow in here, because when you look at the sunflower center, there's usually, you can see some yellow. Not a lot, not always, but I can in this one. There's some yellow seeds in there, and so I'm going to just dab those around here, and I'm going to let that sit for just a second before I finish filling out the brown. I'm going to come back up. I'm going to grab my sap green now. Sap green is a gorgeous warm green that I really love. So going back to our theme of summer and things that don't change, it is one of my joys to see the familiar summer flowers coming out each summer, and I look for the sunflower. And I didn't think I was going to see any in the city, but someone has planted sunflowers over in one of the parks, not Central Park, I haven't seen any over there, but in another park, I'm in the Carl Schultzman Park that's along the East River. And I found a couple, and there they were, happy as can be with their faces. I'm going to go ahead and grab the stem here. facing up towards the sun, strong, resilient. We were having some really hot weather, I feel like everywhere in the United States. I don't know in other places too, I imagine in Europe, just bitterly hot weather everywhere. And the sunflowers, they stay the same. They are resilient. Many of them actually do well in drier weather. I'm thinking of the dusty road sunflowers that actually thrive on the side of the road where the water is scarce. All right, I'm just adding in more of the sap green. You'll notice too, I'm not doing a lot of detail on the leaves because we don't quite have the time for that today, but I'm also adding in the color. I'm almost dropping it in. I'll come a little bit closer so you can see that. I'm dropping it in, and so it's letting it pick up the different colors. If you look at the sunflower leaves, there is lots of variation in color and in some shadowing. I'm going to pick up some yellow and drop in some yellow because I can definitely see yellow in different areas. And then I am going to just let those colors dance together, and then I'm going to come back and I'll add more color later. But sunflowers stay the same. They come up at the same time. They have those same characteristics of just steadfastness, of resilience. I love the resilience of sunflowers. I'm going to put just a little bit of yellow in my stem. And then don't forget to pick up some more green. And we've got to get those tendrils around the sunflower petals, otherwise they'll all turn into yellow petals. I've done that before. So let's add in our green of the tendrils that are sticking out here. Okay, and I'm also going to go ahead and we're going to do just a little bit of splattering. Since we're not going to be painting the background, I'm just going to do some green splatters around. That's really nice. Okay, let's pick up some yellow. I think the other thing that sunflowers remind me of, things that stay the same, is that every summer season, whether it's the actual summer season on the calendar year, with the weather that's hot and dry or hot and humid, depending on where you are, whether there's thunderstorms rolling through or you just have like that relentless heat, I'm picking up, I've got lemon yellow here, I've got cadmium yellow, and I've got yellow ochre. Now, you can use whichever yellow you'd like. We want it to be a brighter yellow. That we end up, on this particular sunflower, you want to have a yellow that pops. So I'm not going to use too much yellow ochre. You can see that in there. There's a lot of bold yellow. So either start with yellow ochre or lemon yellow and then add some cadmium in it to it, cadmium yellow. If you don't have cadmium yellow, I would use a gamboge or even a little bit of a red. But I'm going to go ahead. I've got the yellow ochre, so I'm going to start adding that in. And once again, I'm not painting the petals solid. I'm moving this around. Moving this around here. Just adding in the color. Pick up a little bit more water. And that way, when we drop in the cadmium color, it's going to just move all over the place. So this is a little bit more of the lemon yellow, and I'm even going to pull some of the brown up into some of these petals just to give it a bit more depth. I'm going to come back with my gamboge, or I'm sorry, my cadmium. Either cadmium or gamboge are going to be beautiful here. And I'm just going to dip that in. Again, this is not a real, like, I'm not trying to create a portrait of the sunflower. We're painting sunflowers. We're using our live ones for inspiration, but it doesn't have to look exactly the same. And I'm going to put these over here so you can actually see, you can just see that for a minute and see those colors. They're really, really pretty. Put that up here. I don't think, yeah, that shadow is going to be fine. It's kind of an overcast day. It's really interesting, but it's warm. Very interesting, but it's not supposed to rain. We'll see. We will see. I just feel like, you tell me it's not going to rain, but the sky sure looks stormy. Okay, I'm going to come back over here and just keep on adding some more yellow, moving that around. I'm trying to think, oh, we are at about 13 minutes. Oh, so we're doing beautifully on time. Okay, those characteristics that stay the same. I think that characteristic of perseverance through difficult times, through dry times. Sometimes it's not like the crises. I find we rally really well during crises. We have things you have to do in a crisis. There's like a lot of action to take. But sometimes in the dry seasons of life, where it's just hard and you just have to persevere, that's when the characteristic of grit and perseverance and determination, boy, they're really valuable. And sunflowers, they show us that, how to just keep on going, keep on steady. I'm amazed they're such heavy flowers. Like the head is so heavy of a sunflower. And yet the stalk, we often talk about the sunflower and its beauty, but its stalk is strong. It's resolute, it's determined to hold up the head, the flower, and such a really gorgeous reminder for me. I always find the summer seasons of both life and then summer itself to be challenging. I think the way we go through these summer seasons is super important. Like my temptation is to complain. My temptation is to gripe, which helps no one and is not good. So that's something I'm really working on, is like, okay, no complaining. Stay cheerful like the sunflower, constantly looking up. They're not rose-colored glasses cheerful either. They're just solidly cheerful, of just almost that reminder of the beauty of perseverance. And I'm kind of not going around all of my lines, but that's okay too. I'm going to come in closer so you can see that. And you can see I'm keeping this moderately wet. Now, let me show you if I did want to paint the whole petal. So say I did. I wanted to paint mostly, leaving a little bit of white, the whole petal here, just so you can see what that looks like. And then I'm going to drop in a color. Another thing that stays the same, certain colors just blend together beautifully. Don't you like things that stay the same in a world that feels like it's constantly changing sometimes, or constantly insecure? I love some stability. And when you add yellow and red together, you're always going to get gorgeous. You're going to get, or did I say that right? Yellow and red, you're going to get beautiful orange. When you add red and green, it's always going to turn into brown. And you could hardly ever go wrong when you create a sunflower, because the colors, yellow, green, and brown, are so beautiful together that even if they merge into one another, it's not a problem. It actually looks really fun and abstracty. So if you find your colors merging, you can either take a towel and just dry them up, or take a dry paintbrush and sop up that extra paint. Or see how that green just escaped in there? Almost as if it knew what we were talking about. I'll show you. I'll grab a paintbrush, a dry one. This is a big one. And I'm just going to sop it up. But it's fine. I'll just let that dry, and I'm going to come back in a sec with some yellow. No harm done at all. It's not like I had gotten a different color that would have been problematic, like a purple, for example. That may have been a problem. I'm going to just add some green here, let it dry, and then I'll come back. I'm going to grab my brown again, and I'm going to add a little bit of brown to my leaves, because these leaves, they are getting old. This flower is on the tail end of its life, so I'm going to pick up some brown. I see some curling up at the end, and so I'm just going to add in a little bit of brown down there. It's still wet enough. It's going to merge all together and do its own dance. Oh, and I'm so sorry, you can't see my top leaf, what I just did there. So I added the brown. Now if it doesn't dance, and you're like, you're supposed to be dancing, like why does the watercolor dance together when I don't want it to? There's a bit of buckling going on, that's why. I'm just going to take a bit of green and then just move it around. And because I don't have another petal there, I am going to go ahead and just carefully move that green down, so to make sure it is coming up off the sunflower. And we're not going to be too careful about the ridges of the leaves this time, because we are moving a little bit quicker. But let's finish up the center of our sunflower. Another truth, something true that is pretty much stays the same, is that contrast is really beautiful. And to create a contrast within your painting, it can feel awkward to have darker colors against light, but it really makes painting pop. And so coming back with your brown, I'm going to now go right more in the middle. So I'm still leaving a little bit of white, but not too much. And I am darkening everything up. Now I could let this completely dry and then come back in and maybe do some pen work or add in some more petals, more color on my petals. Or I may just leave it as it is and just leave it like a watercolor sketch. I might extend a poem, write a poem on it or some Bible verses. See, I'm going to just come back now with my petals that I had gotten the green mixed into. I'm going to add in some of that cadmium right down here. I'm going to come over here just to finish up and add a little bit more a cadmium pop where the paints seem to fade a little bit. Watercolor always dries lighter. So if you want to intensify it, just come back with another layer of color. Okay, isn't this pretty? So happy. So steadfast, right? The steadfast characteristic of sunflowers. The green's getting in here a little bit. That's okay. I'm not too bothered by it. All right, let's do a little bit more splattery and finish up. We did some green, so I'm going to grab some yellow, and I'm going to just do some splattering around of cadmium here. We'll splatter on the flower itself and around the sides. I'm so happy to be back painting with you on YouTube. It's always fun to spend a few minutes creating really lovely art, and it just took us, I think, 20 minutes. I'm going to peek at the time here. Adding a little bit more brown right in here. Some splatters down here. It's lovely. Let it dry, then take off the tape. That's going to create a gorgeous, gorgeous border, and we are just at 20 minutes. All right, I'm going to link to some of the other sunflower videos if you want to keep painting, and I'm going to see you very soon. Let me know if you like painting sunflowers, and if there's another summer flower you like, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear